Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 Sunday Night Football Recap Show. We're going to recap last night's Sunday night game since I didn't get a chance to do that for you last night. And after this podcast, I'll be back with my Monday Night Football Update Show, and that also will be a very special podcast coming up, and I'll explain why when I get to that one. But first, right now, let's recap last night's Sunday night game. The Seahawks remain undefeated as they beat the Minnesota Vikings by 27-26 last night at CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington. This was a game where the lead seesawed back and forth, mainly in the second half, and it did go back and forth, mainly in the second half. The Seahawks did not score at all in the first half, and the Vikings faltered somewhat in the second half, but they did manage to score one more touchdown before that happened. First quarter, the Vikings scored their first touchdown. A Dalvin Cook left guard for 8 yards, and the extra point was good. And it was 7-0 Vikings first quarter. And at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, the Vikings kicked a field goal. And it was the Vikings kicked a field goal, and it was in the first quarter, the Vikings kicked a field goal as well, and then it was 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was 10-0. Then in the second quarter, the Vikings kicked another field goal, and it was a 57-yarder, which was good. And it was 13-0. And at the end of the first half, Seattle had the ball at halftime. In the third quarter, the Seahawks finally scored their first touchdown of the game. Russell Wilson's pass deep left to Willard DC for a 19-yard touchdown, and the extra point was good. It was 13-7. Then the Vikings scored their second touchdown. The Seahawks scored their second touchdown of the game, excuse me. Russell Wilson's pass short middle of DK Metcalf for the 13-yard touchdown. Justin Myers' field goal is good, and it was 14-13. Seattle was in the lead. And then the Vikings forced an interception, and Seattle got the ball back, and then they scored a touchdown again. Chris Carson for the 29-yard touchdown. Justin Myers' field goal was good, and it was 21-13. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings scored their second touchdown of the game. Kirk Cousins passed short right to Adrian Thielen for a 3-yard touchdown. But there was a penalty on Seattle for defensive holding was declined. The 2-point conversion attempt failed, and so it was 21-19 Seahawks at the end of the third quarter. In the fourth, the Vikings scored their third and final touchdown of the game. Kirk Cousins passed short to Adrian Thielen for a 6-yard touchdown. It was Griffin missed with it, and the extra point was good, and it was 26-21. I think it was A.J. Griffin left with an injury in the fourth quarter. And then the Seahawks scored their final touchdown in the Seahawks scored their final touchdown in the fourth quarter. And it was Russell Wilson's pass show right to Doug Metcalf with a 6-yard touchdown, a 2-point conversion attempt. It failed. It was 27-26, and there were the Vikings made 2 plays at the end of near the end of the fourth quarter in the final seconds, but nevertheless, the Seahawks get the win, and they go to 5-0 and remain undefeated, 27 to 26. And time now to give out the game balls for this game. Russell Wilson, 20 of 32 carries and attempts, 217 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Chris Carson, 8 carries, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. And DK Metcalf, 6 receptions, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Well, this was one of those games where the Vikings had the lead and they let it slip through their fingers, and Seattle gets the win by 1. And so Minnesota will have to regroup for their next opponent. For next week, their next opponent, and which will be for the Seahawks are on a bye week. I'm trying to figure out who Minnesota is going to play. They're playing Atlanta. I think it's in Minnesota, and we'll see. They'll have to see what they can do against Atlanta and prepare themselves for that one. So that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scott Sports 101 Sunday Night Football recap show. Stay tuned because I'll be back very shortly with my Scott Sports 101 Monday Night Football update show, and which it will be a very special podcast, and I will explain it when I get to it, when I start it, and just very shortly. So stay with me, but until then, stay with us. Always remember, be a team player each and every day, in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.